Hi, and welcome to Prevention in My Kitchen, where we give you one parenting skill, a family strengthening skill that hopefully makes your life a little bit easier. My name is Angela, and in addition to being a parent educator, I am a strengthening families facilitator, and I teach families all day long about the kind of skills that they need that will make their lives a lot easier. So, welcome to my kitchen. If you've never seen the series, I usually just do this the way I would if I was hanging out with a friend. And so I usually make something that I would normally make in my kitchen or not. Sometimes I actually make things for you that I would never make in my kitchen while talking to you about the skill. So you're really in my kitchen, and today we're actually making, or I'm gonna make, this actually looks really good. I'm actually going to put this in the show notes. I've never made this before. A friend of mine who's a nutritionist does this, so I'll link her below. But it is PB&J baked oats. I'm actually really excited about this. So I'm thinking I might have it for breakfast. Okay, so lots of oatmeal in this one. Please hold while I grab my strawberries. Okay, so I am making this for the first time, and what I'm going to talk to you about today is what we call let rewards be rewarding. So here's the question for you. How many of you ever, and thinking, by the way, of when you've tried to reward your kids for the things that they're doing, because a lot of us think, well, you know, we need rewards in order to do the things that I do. But how many of you ever tried to reward your kids? Cut that. Hold on one second. I need to regroup. So in parenting, you know how sometimes you say to your kid, hey, can you clean your room? And you get the response, what do I get? And you have this moment where you realize, oh, I've just raised a master negotiator rather than a child. This class, this lesson is for you because we've all been there. When we talk about rewards, we're usually talking about rewarding them for doing something so that we can increase that behavior over and over and over again. And so we're going to talk about how to use rewards to make it better for you so you actually get what you want. By the way, I have no idea what I'm doing in this recipe. It doesn't tell me to do anything with these strawberries, so I figure I'll cut them up and that might actually help. All right, so when you think about the way that rewards usually work, there's nothing inherently bad about rewards, right? I mean, you know that. You get rewards when you're working. Isn't that true? Okay, hold on. Let me do that again. When you think about rewards, there's nothing inherently wrong about rewards, right? I mean, you and I get rewards for going to work. They're usually called a paycheck. And we know that that's actually how human behavior works. Students will work for grades, right? Athletes work for prizes. You want to go for the gold, that kind of thing. But where rewards actually start going sideways is when they use them, in particular our kids, use them as negotiating tactics. So they start to ask themselves, when you ask them to set the table, what do I get for setting the table? They start to ask themselves, well, if I'm not getting anything for this, why would I do it? That's when rewards go sideways. Pause. She wants to come down, that's why. Can you let her open Lucio's door and call her? I didn't realize she's in his room and then she jumps up there because she gets stuck in there. Just open the door and call her and she'll come down. We're going to go back to the point where it says rewards start to backfire. So when rewards start going sideways.
Lay down.
Go get on your bed.
Lay down. Everybody calm down.
Everybody. Okay, ready? So when do rewards start going sideways? Well, kids start to ask themselves, listen, if everything that I do doesn't have a prize attached to it, why would I do that? And that actually turns our family responsibilities into negotiations. And that is not what anybody wants. All right. So while we're talking about that, I am trying to make this delicious looking recipe. So we feel that really quickly, right, as parents and parenting adults, because we really want our kids to do things for an intrinsic motivation. And that is a great way for having kids do that. In fact, researchers talk about how if they're doing something because it feels meaningful, responsible, or important, then that is what we want for our kids. So then you might say, okay, Angela, well, we just won't give them any prizes at all. And really, there are a few things that have to be in place in order to make it work. It's, again, not that rewards are bad in and of themselves. We all have rewards for certain things. But our job as parents and parenting adults is to help to choose the rewards that work towards getting better behavior, and then to titrate off those rewards as kids are increasing their the number of times they're doing that behavior or the quality with which they're doing that behavior. Some behaviors will have rewards, but the vast majority of the rewards that work for kids are actually what we call social rewards. And so a social reward is like when I don't know why I shake the milk. Nobody knows why I shake the milk, but I've always shaken the milk. So the vast majority of our rewards are social rewards. And you want that, right? Because you want your kid to have that dopamine hit when you tell them that they did something fantastic. But also, maybe you're helping them to learn to practice a new routine or do their homework regularly. Sorry, I got to keep checking my recipe. Make sure I'm not screwing it up. All right, we got our Quaker oats. We've got our milk. We've got, we need our 2 scoops. We're trying to eat a little bit more protein around here. So we got to add our protein. So then let's talk about what rewards you actually want, because there are some rewards that are better than other rewards. So as I said, social rewards are the primary way. So that's like attention. If you've ever been, it could also be that you tell them what they did, why it was so good what they did, and what child reason hold on. I'm going to go back to what rewards. Okay. So here's something really interesting. The kind of rewards that actually work are, as we said, social rewards. They're not prizes or money, but they're things like your attention, your time, your encouragement. So when we think about encouragement, one of the things that you can do is you can give them a reward where you tell them exactly what they did as soon as you see that they did it. You give them a child reason why that's so important. And you can offer like a gentle touch when you do it. So here's what that might look like. Ellie, thank you so much for doing your homework as soon as you got home from school. I'm so proud of you for doing that. Now that you got that out of the way, we're gonna be able to watch our favorite show together tonight. And what that does is it actually gives them a feel-good chemical reward that makes it more likely that they're going to do that behavior over and over again. Great. So that is one of the ways that you can give rewards. However, you could actually offer them other rewards like privileges or staying up late or extra time. One of the things we talk a lot about is my time, which is the activity where a parent and a child will spend 10 minutes together. And that 10 minutes, the child gets to choose the activity that the adult plays along. You can actually do that with the littlest of littles all the way up into their teen years. They do want our time and attention. And so that's another way of giving rewards. But I wanted to read this to you, friends. I love this. This is research by psychologist Carol Dweck. She shows that when kids are praised for effort and persistence, they become more resilient and more willing to keep trying when things get hard. And so this is one of the examples that she gives. She says, sometimes the most powerful reward is simply saying, I noticed how hard you worked on that and I'm proud of you. So when you think about all of the things that our kids do, the more we notice when they do things that are tough, the more likely they are to actually do that over and over and over again. Sorry, let me say that again. The more likely they are to do that over and over and over again. And that is how you see behavior change. So, sorry, let me just double check to make sure. 2 tablespoons. I've never tried this recipe before. I'm actually really excited. Peanut butter and jelly baked oats. I'll put in the show notes whether or not I liked them. We'll see. And then I need a little bit of vanilla here. And milk. We've got, okay, so we got oats, protein powder, PB2, strawberries, maple syrup. I need that. Splash of vanilla, milk, and peanut butter for topping. Okay, that'll happen after it comes out of the oven. There we go. All right, and I'm going to stick that in the baking dish at 375 for 45 minutes or until I can't stand how delicious it smells, and then pull it out and eat the entire pan. So let's just be real. All right, so here was what we're going to give you. A few different things to think about. The first thing is the more you catch them being good, the more you can tell them what they're doing that's right, the more often you're going to see that. So when you think about rewards, it's not necessarily that you need to buy them a new PlayStation. Please hold. Sorry, let me do that again. So when you think about giving them rewards, it's not necessarily that you have to run out and buy them a new PlayStation. In fact, those are not the most rewarding rewards. So your time and your attention are going to be the ones that you use the most often. But there are other rewards that they could actually earn. And these rewards happen in discussion. So you sit and you talk about that as a family. What will the rewards be? For what behavior? Until you master what? And then they can move on to something else. And by the way, you can have rewards that are monetary in value. You absolutely, or in nature, you absolutely can. But every reward should not be that. And the conversation around what will be the reward for what behavior is the most important thing. So you're acknowledging that they're doing something new, or they're doing something different, or they're improving in some area. But your constant conversation is, as a family, we all clean the house, do the dishes, feed the dog, whatever those things are. But there are certain things that we want to acknowledge that you're working on. And so we would be willing to do whatever, fill in the blank of the reward here. But you want to make sure that this works for you and it works for them. All right. So every kid is going to be different. I want to give you this last challenge. I'm putting on the website a couple of pages that will help you to do that. Some charts that will help you to, nope, stop. Sorry, there's a lot of cut out of this one.
It's okay. You also forgot maple syrup.
What? Oh, I forgot the maple syrup. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So this week, what I want to challenge you is I want you to look at what kind of rewards you have going in your house. How are those rewards? Woo! That's a lot of maple syrup. How are those rewards showing up in your house? Are they actually rewarding? Are they building habits, or have they turned into mini negotiations? Once you start asking yourself those questions, if you realize, look, they've turned into negotiations, then you can actually just shift the effort. And this is not, it's not brain surgery. It really is just a conversation as a family. Hey, I noticed that it feels like every time I ask you to do something, it's a negotiation. So let's just regroup together so that we both understand that when I've asked you to do something that's in our home, something that we're all working on, that is not something that we're going to give you a monetary reward for. The other thing, and you could say, and what skill do you want to work on, or habit that you want to work on that you could earn a monetary reward? And you don't have to use the word monetary. You can decide together what that reward is. At the same time that you're doing that, you increase all the times you've seen them do great things. and you comment on those, you're going to get them to a better place of balance. All right, friends, I'm going to stick this in the oven. I hope it comes out fantastic. It's actually a little watery, so I'm not 100% sure. So I'll put in the show notes how this turned out. And for you, if you have tried rewarding and it worked out, we want to hear about it. If you've tried rewarding and it did not work out, we want to hear about that too. Please reach out to us. You can get all the resources on deltaprevention.org. Come back for all of our series on prevention in my kitchen. We also have a fantastic podcast that you can listen to. So much great advice. On our podcast, we talk about how everybody really just needs a good friend to help have a strong family. And that's what we try and be to you. Good friends, strong families. You can find that on all of your social media platforms. Thanks, everybody. Take care.